Hello viewers, my name is Fidelis Njoki and this is my sign name. Welcome back to The Voice Show, where we give opportunities to talk about our stories to motivate you. So this is trying to educate you and make sure that we are all creating awareness on different topics. So today we have a guest. Just wait. We want to welcome our guest. Hello. Maybe would you introduce yourself? Tell us who you are briefly.
My name is Veronica. I am a tennis player and a coach. I'm also the founder of Zion Zone Tennis Foundation that changes the lives of many underprivileged children in the slums in Nairobi. Thank you.
Oh wow, you've heard clearly from Veronica. So now you've said that you have a foundation and also you're a player of tennis. Before you started tennis, what were you doing, or where did this interest in tennis start?
My interest in tennis actually started when I was a student in India. And before I was playing different sports like hockey, I was in football, I played a bit of rugby, and I used to do a lot of athletics. So when I was studying tennis in India is when I got when I was studying in India is when I got an interest to play tennis. Must have been my third year in India, yes, at the university.
Wow, wow, wow. Now you see, that is really nice, huh? You've been doing a good job. I can see where the interest started. Now when you decided to mentor other youth to be involved in the tennis, maybe will you tell us why did you focus on tennis? Because we have different sports. Why did you choose? Because you've said that before you used to do rugby, athletics. Why? What made you focus on tennis? Why specifically tennis?
For tennis, the reason why I did that is I used to watch a lot of tennis on TV when I was in India, and what I loved was their dress code. They used to look very nice. And then what I also loved, I used to watch the Williams sisters, and what I love is the sound they made when they were playing tennis. So that is how I picked my interest. And then tennis is an individual sport. You don't need too many people to play it, and you can be your own person. So that is the reason why I chose tennis over the other team events.
Oh, that is really interesting. Also for me, I have a tennis interest, and also I really love watching the Williams sisters, and so you see we have something in common. So that is really nice. Now maybe would you share with us the story, the journey about how you started your foundation?
My foundation, I started it in 2006, and this is because I had a neighbor who had a program, a daycare in Kibera, which was just right behind our house, and I thought maybe I should go and give them my time. She encouraged me, and it was a bit difficult for me to go to the slum because of the dangers that I had. But in 2006 is when I stepped in, and I met these wonderful children. And for me, what struck me is the living conditions that were not good, and I was actually worried that in this country and in this day and age, children are living in such poor conditions. But I decided, you know, what I can do is give them a tennis racket because I'm a tennis player. What can I do to keep the children busy? So with time, when I was walking into the slum to spend time with them, I realized there was interest. And because of that interest, I thought this is the time now to use my racket to nurture their talent. But the first one was to keep them busy so that I'm able to talk to them about their lives, the challenges they're going through, and how can I make it better, especially for the children, instead of giving them food, giving them clothing, which is shorter. And I also knew that in Kibera there are so many sponsors, but I'm not seeing it on the ground. So I just chose to be a little bit different by giving them a skill. Then perhaps in future, they might be good tennis players or become coaches or use it as a pathway to other opportunities so they can come out of the mindset in the slum and just know that there is better life besides being in the slum. They're in the slum because their parents are the ones who have raised them there, or they've been born there, but they can always have a different mindset if somebody goes in to give them something different from what they see in the community. So that is the reason why I came up with the Zone Tennis Foundation.
Wow, you've heard it clearly. You've said that Zion Zone Foundation really focus in slums. Do you focus to create impact in sport, in only tennis, or what do you, because before the beneficiary they use, you can maybe do you support them in their other ways, or is just only in training them the skill on tennis?
Okay, initially it was only tennis because that was my entry point. I had to use something that catches the attention of the children. So if you have something to tell the children, you have to look for something that will bring them. So definitely tennis was very unique in the community. It's a sport they had never had. They actually used to call it golf. And I was like, if I can use this kind of, the tool that I have to encourage them about, let me start with education, because one of the things with time I realize most of them don't value education. So my main thing was, if you come to my program as a tennis player, it is important that you're in a school. And if you're in a school, then I will visit the school, so that it is sports and education. And I was just like, I know majority, maybe because of the living condition, it is difficult for them to really concentrate in school, but it is important that they're in school. So that is one of the goals that I had, to encourage them. And I told them that I'm a tennis player, but I also went to school. I am a graduate. Then the next one that I realized is also their living condition. How do I speak to them that this is just for this moment? And it's not the kind of life that I honestly would love them to lead. So I brought in also mentorship, that there are other people who can talk to them from different backgrounds, that are able to explain to them how life is out there besides the life that they are living. So they don't really have to stay there. And even if they're there, they really have to have a different mindset. They don't need to be in prostitution, they don't have to give birth early, they don't have to be in drugs, they don't have to be drug traffickers, they don't have to be thieves. So I was telling them that this is just a stepping place. And if we get to mentor them, we allow them to see a different life besides the many things they see. And if I know the living condition is very bad, but if they get life skill, if they get well mentored, if they continue going to school, then they have other opportunities. And I also thought that tennis as a sport is more for the rich, it is not for the poor. So how do I bring them to an environment where there are competitions and they are able to mingle and mix with the well-to-do children? And from there they are able to learn that, you know, in this life you can actually make it. You don't need to have to be in your environment that is limiting with all sorts of vices. So the tennis competition that I encourage them to go for would build teamwork. They were able to make new friends. They were able to have different ideas. And also what is very good is I told them that one day they'll travel, they'll be in the aeroplane, they'll be able to see the world. So they're also able to know that life is not just about Kibera, Kenya. You can also be somewhere in Germany, somewhere in the US, playing tennis and eventually win a scholarship to further education or their tennis careers. So for me, I just moved in tennis as a tool to be able to use to encourage them, love on them, tell them how important and how special they are, and just to encourage them to go for more for virtues than for vices. So that is some of the things that we do.
Wow, that is really interesting and so motivating. So now I want to ask, when you started you said you started in 2006, right? So after starting in 2006, and what in the next year was 2007, and remember he had post-election violence, and Kibera was one of the biggest slum in Kenya, and it was really affected by post-election violence. So how did you handle that situation at that time? Because many parents from there are from Kibra, and children were there from your foundation. So how did you handle that?
Actually, it was a very big worry, because from my house during the violence you could hear gunshots, and sometimes it was difficult to reach the children or to reach the parents, and whenever I got a chance I would call to find out how they are doing. And in my estate, what I would do is try and ask the rest of the estate, the individuals in the community, in the estate, if they're able to give us food, clothing. And what was it was very dangerous to enter. And at one time I entered in the community because I was going to give clothes, and I was going to give some food. And where I was, actually it was more like a danger zone, because I was inside the gate and young men came running through, and I was just like, I don't know how dangerous this is, but definitely it was dangerous. And I knew some of the children had lost their parents. Some of them were hungry, and they were calling me to find out how they can come where I am. And it was impossible for me now to keep going in, because the danger was, the intensity of danger. You could actually smell danger. And there's a time when I went in, I was very afraid. But the young people who are in the community they were not exactly telling me what is going on, but you could see with the way they are looking at me, that get out of this place because it's gonna turn dangerous. And actually where we live, there's a narrow road into Kibera. That is a place most people were slaughtered. You used to come with your ID. If they found out you're from a different tribe, you get killed. So my biggest fear is, it might be one of my kids being killed. It might be one of my parents being killed. And within this setup, before, I used to have a lot of children in the program, but after the post-election violence, there was a lot of relocation. I missed out on quite a number of children. And in fact, what I noticed after the elections, when I went to coach the children, there was a lot of tribal comments. They even started asking me, which tribe are you? And that is the time I realized that things are getting out of hand. So that the 2017 was definitely a very tough moment for the foundation. It was very difficult, the way the children are communicating. Even in one classroom I went, and there was one boy who stood and said, I'm for this side and this is my tribe, and the rest of the children should not be talking in this class if they're not from my tribe. So it was a very trying moment.
It's really, really sad to hear that. I have seen post-election violence, what it has caused and the effects it has done in the slums, especially in slums. But hold on to that. We'll be back after the short break. Viewers, we are back. Welcome back. Let's continue with this story which is bringing change to our society. But just hold on, let's continue. Now you've said about inclusion program with the deaf community, and also you did one for those who are using the wheelchair, the physically disabled. So what have you seen in the world of persons with disability and persons who are able differently, what is a challenge that you have seen and you would want really to change on it? Or have you seen any difference, or have you seen the potential within the two groups, or what have you seen the differences and also the challenge?
Let me start with the good. The good, there's a lot of potential. For me, I believe God did not make a mistake creating somebody with disability physically, and the deaf people. They're still all created in God's image. And what I love when they're together, they are like a team. When I was working with the wheelchair people, you can tell they laugh at their disability, but nicely. And when there is something to be given, they will start with themselves first. They'll first fight for their own. So there's that element of nobody can take it from them, because they have to make sure their own get it. It's one of the things I learned from the wheelchair group. When you go to the deaf people, what I learned is also the same thing. If you have an activity at let's say public service club, then you know the whole deaf family will be there. How they spread, they give the information, I cannot understand, but you find them, all of them there, and they are ready to support whoever is playing. They just want to see the best out of their friends. So it's one of the things I actually noticed, and communication is very fast between them. And the other one that I will not go for is for me to say, look, well, it is important. I'll talk about the hearing or the able people, or as an individual, I honestly I'd love to work with both sides, and I want them to, when I'm with them, let's look at each other like, let them look at me like a deaf person just like them, so that they're able to give me the same love, the same support they give somebody who is deaf. And when I'm working with the wheelchair, I also want them to look at me like somebody who has crutches, and so that they also put me in their family. Because there's the tendency of you are there, but they put a roadblock to cover themselves, so you're not able to get through, because in their mind, and which I'll tell both physically challenged and the deaf, that they should not always think that we or myself am there to oppress them. I have been here wanting to be with both person with disabilities and the deaf, but you feel like there's a hindrance. And once there's a hindrance, how will the deaf people mingle with me? How will we, the able people, understand that being deaf is not a curse, or being physically challenged is not a curse? If you're not able to work together as a family or as a team, then we will never be able to understand each other. And that is the reason maybe when somebody's on a wheelchair, instead of feeling this is just somebody like you, you're feeling sorry for them and you have questions, why are they like this? So it's one of the things I definitely preach to both sides. We want to be part of your lives. Give us the opportunity to be in these lives. In the institutions, the schools that deal with children, what I feel is there's too much, they block. Some of us want to do something in the school because they're just feeling maybe she's earning from it, she's doing this. So you can let them use a system to vet us, because when they vet us, they will know who is for these children, who is not for them. Then give us the opportunity to be there, so that we give the skill that we have, we give it back. So the suspicion that we are there to oppress them, we are there to eat for them, we are there, there's always a hidden agenda. It's one of the things I'd really love. It should be preached and it should be stopped, because as an individual, I learned sign language. Nobody told me go and learn sign language. It was me who decided that, how do I reach these people? Let me go and learn their language. You understand? So I really want this to be one of the things, even on our televisions, let there be awareness that we really want to be part of these communities. So that is one of the things I felt it's one of a big challenge, and maybe to also teach them to be more patient. Things don't come easy. And when you're given an opportunity, one of the things that has been grieving me or disappointing me is everything has, if you call any person with a physical challenge, if you call a day for a place even to sit as a gathering, there must be transport, there must be this. No. It is one of the things that has to change, because you might miss out on information because your mindset, if I go there and I don't get transport, I don't need to be there. So if this I am allowed, because I feel it and I've been strongly on the ground, this is one of the things we need to teach, that it is not a must they get something to come and get information, so that you can be able to be one large family. If you go to Europe, for example, one of the things that I admire, you need to go to Europe and see how persons with disability or the deaf people are. They are like any other. When I went for wheelchair tennis, I was shocked. I'm seeing this crippled man playing, and you know, when I saw this man's wife, this able person, beautiful, and life is normal, nobody's turning around and who is this? No, but in Kenya, if you're to do that, they're like, oh, did you marry for money? Or was it the last choice? It's because there is not enough education. Can we have enough education so that we're able to mix well and be one team? That would be my biggest desire.
And that is why we say we have the Voice Show, which is able to create awareness, also to empower people who need to know that we are all balanced and we're all able differently. We are all equal and we have the same opportunities. It's not to feeling sympathy for us because and then start giving us the first opportunity and start being sympathetic. But after that, when you see our ability, then you're able to balance, know how to work with us. So now, viewers, before I come to the end, maybe my guest will have a parting shot for our viewers, and also to tell all the parents and the children who are watching us. Maybe they can learn something, 1, 2, or 3 things from you.
For the parents, it is not a child who's deaf or has any physical challenge is a child like any other, and do not lock these children in those homes. Do not mistreat these children. They are created in God's image. There are so many people who don't have children, and you have a child and you've chosen because they are able differently. You're locking them, you're giving them food under the door, for example, or you have let a caregiver to be the one to take care of the children. For me, I would say it's a very sad thing, and it should not happen. And love that child. You don't know where that God gave you that child. The challenges are there financially, mentally, psychologically, but you can look for a group of people that have those kind of shortcomings and just be there to encourage. So that is the part I would honestly urge the parents, the caregivers, those children not to be beaten, to be tortured, to be told all sorts of things, and you know, you wish they should die. Why should they die, you know? And it's honestly before God, if you're one of the people mistreating these children, it is wrong. Give them a chance. Some of them can sing, they can dance, they can draw, they can play different kind of sports. Look for something that suits the child, and definitely this child will not be a sorrow to you, but a blessing for the children. I encourage them. They are not limited. Go to that football pitch, go to that tennis, whatever opportunity comes to your school. Do not feel you're limited. Go for it. You never know the kind of doors that God can open if you try to be in whichever activities that you've been given the opportunity to do so. And I will just emphasize that you are created in God's image and nothing should limit you. There's a reason why you're on this earth. So I'm just grateful that I have the opportunity to serve both communities, and I'd love to continue doing so in the best way that I can.
Really amazing parting shot, okay? So now, before the second program, what are you doing to give back to your community? or what are you doing to change yourself for other people? Also, I don't know, people always have the excuse of, I got a child with disability, I don't know what to do. It's okay. I know sometimes this can be affecting mentally, psychologically, and also financially. But you see, when you don't know the future of this child, the same way our guest has told us, God has a clear reason why He blessed you with this child. This child is a blessing, not a curse. Because many people will think that it is a curse, which is not the case. I think we need to end this stigma and stop using these negative notions, because you wouldn't know the ability of this child. So we need to impact our children at an early stage. Thank you so much, our viewers, for watching and being with us through the Voice Show. But we will end with a quote from our guest. So would you finish? Do you have a quote to give our visitors, our guests?
Always try your best and never give up.
That is clear. And don't forget to follow us on all our social media pages on Instagram, Facebook, and also on YouTube. So when you're watching on TV, you can send a comment on YouTube and also our Facebook pages, and also you can contact us from the number on the screen. I have been your host, Fidelis Njoki, the Voice Show host. Goodbye. See you next time. Viewers, we are back again to continue with our interesting interview. So now, are you a sports person? As you can see, our guest here is a sports expert in tennis and also has a foundation that is giving impact and also creating and also giving back to the society, which is ours and which we are benefiting. Now, before we continue, what are you doing to change your society, all the people around you? So now, back to our guest, Veronica. Now, would you tell us more about what do you have in your programs? You said when you're coming up with different programs, so will you tell us more about the mentorship programs that you do? Because it's not only tennis. We have seen also in Islam, the children there, some involve themselves in prostitution, in drug abuse, in different things. So may you tell us more about the program that you're doing on mentorship and how it is helping to impact the children who are participating in your foundation?
Okay. The mentorship program that we have, what we talk about is issues that are affecting the children in the slum, that is both boys and girls. We try to find out which of these children may be at home, they are being sexually harassed or they are being molested, so that we find out how we can do to help. We also try to find out and talk to them about the kind of friends they're supposed to be keeping. Because now, if you keep a drug dealer, then definitely you'll be using drugs. We try to find out, like, if the situation in the house, for example, the parents are violent, how do we talk to these children? How are they able to survive those kinds of abuse or the violence in the home? We also follow up, for example, the rampant teen pregnancies, which is honestly one of the saddest things that is happening in the country. That young children as young as 13 are getting pregnant. So we try to talk to them about sexuality, that it is important we don't hide, because there is YouTube, the social media, there are so many things the social media is showing, so don't assume that these children don't know, they know. So when it comes to sex, our biggest desire is the mentors to tell the children about it, what it is. Because these children, if you don't tell them, they know. So one of the things we try to encourage, especially our girls, is not to go that direction of having sex at an early age. But at the same time, should they be pregnant, we are against abortion. They have to bring forth the child, no matter the circumstances. We also sometimes speak to them, because some of them are very young. We want to find out what is going on, and mostly what we have realized is most of these children are just talking about sex, how to avoid boyfriends and girlfriends. It's one of the things that comes out very clearly, how to say no when you're being asked to have a relationship. And some of them are already sexually active. They are wondering, one of the sessions they are asking the use of condoms. Why would a child be speaking about the use of condoms? You can tell the kind of environment. So we just try to talk about issues that are affecting them within the community, and how best are we able to voice them or allow them to voice them without victimizing them, you know. So we try to just be in their feeling, in their moment. And one of the things I emphasize on mentorship is it has to be said the way it is. And then, because most of these children come when they're hungry, you can honestly not talk to a hungry child. So we have a feeding program that we give them milk and bread, and now when they are satisfied, you're able now to sit with them and start addressing matters that are affecting them. Like if they're in a gang group, you know, why are you in a gang group? Do you know how dangerous it is to be in a gang group? We try to encourage them to move away, that it is not good to get things, easy things. Because one of the things I really want to highlight in the community, it is important for anybody supporting like me or any donors to stop giving things on a silver platter. For example, a child gives birth and you're already having a place where they have to come and get money, get clothes. So if they continue that way, then we are encouraging these teen mothers to give back to more children. So there has to be a way of not encouraging that kind of support, because it is the one that is opening doors to teen pregnancy, because they know they will get help somewhere. So because we also have education besides the mentorship, in primary school we follow up on the children in school, and now we know we have children who are doing well and they are not able to go to high school. So what we try is to look for like partners who are able to give school fees to these boys and girls, so that you're able to have them in high school instead of them dropping out of school. Because what I have seen in my community, when a girl reaches grade 8, once they're done their KCP, their first interest is either to go to Kenyatta Market to start making hair, and immediately they learn how to make hair. Most of them don't go to high school. Or the next thing I have seen is just having, being in, feeling that getting drunk, using drugs, and just being in friends that are not, that feel it's cool even when you're doing the wrong thing. I see that is one of the things they do. And for the girls, definitely pregnancy is the first thing that you see. For the boys, they're just in gang groups, taking drugs, alcohol, they're just living a careless life. Or what they think most is maybe to be matatu conductor. It is not bad, but when you're young, the kind of things you interact with. So we really try to make sure that you can get scholarships for these children to go in high school. We have several children in high school. So we're just trying to make sure that everything works in favor of the children.
Wow, that is really nice, and really a nice program that you're having, and also initiatives that are very good and helpful to the children. Also, you're trying the best to create and also to make the life of the children in the slums better. So now when you're coming up with the program for example, for sexual health and reproduction, Have you ever maybe met a scenario whereby you see the parents hear that the children know quite a number of things, then they feel you're exposing the children to a lot. We are trying to encourage the children to be active in sex or what? Have you ever been in such a scenario, and how have you tried to solve that situation whereby the parents feel that you're exposing the children to a lot of information?
Actually, before I do anything on, let's say, sexuality, we ask the parents. And it is very clear. It's one of the things we explain to the parents, that these children know. It's not that they don't have the information. So if we don't tell them the way it is and assume that they don't know, then that is when you're in shock when a child is pregnant, you're in shock when a child dies because of abortion, you're in shock, you're in shock that your child ran away with a man. But imagine if you laid all these things on the table and say, look, we know there is sex, but this is the time you're supposed to be exposed to. This child will grow knowing that I was told. So for me, no parent confronts me about it, because I tell them. Last year we had a parents meeting, and one of the things I told the parents, look, when my mentors are here, the first thing the children are just talking about is sex this, sex that, sex styles, and these are children. So I had to tell them that it is shocking that these kids know so much about sex. If we don't talk about it, there is no justice. So I had to ask for permission to be able to talk to the children. But I don't do it directly. I look for people who can do it, and I guide them on how they're able to explain, especially the children who understand exactly what is going on. So it's not been an issue for me.
Oh, that is a really good step, because many people have different programs. When they come up with them, they don't agree with the parents. So I really congratulate that, because at least you agree with the parents, and that is really nice. Okay, and also I would want to know, have you ever had a scenario whereby where quite a number of children have joined your program, which is the story that has ever motivated you to continue with your work?
I have many stories, but let me see which one was. Okay, when I was starting the program in 2006, so 2007 thereabout, I discovered that there are other schools neighboring the slum. So I chose to go to the schools and help them put the tennis program in the schools, so that I'm able to reach many more children within the slum. So I went to one of these schools, and of course when you go to schools, a teacher will just tell you that this child is troublesome, and that is the best way. It is good you can keep this child in the program. So one of my most difficult moment, or I don't know if it was difficult, but at that time I used to go to the slum a lot, and I used to get overwhelmed because of the issues that I hear. Then at one point I think I was burning out, and I was in the house. So that day I told myself, I'm not going to go and coach, I'm just extremely tired. Then we used to play at about, I think it must have been 5 p.m. and we used to use pathways. We just used to play in the corridors, in the pathways. We use a rope and the children play. So most of these children didn't know what tennis was. But I had a knock at my door. Then about 3 young boys came and said, "Oh coach, tumekutengenezea kiwanja." I said, "Really?" I said, "Come and see. We have even drawn a tennis court. Come and see." So I was asking, "What did you use?" "Coach, tulitafuta tu vitu tukatumia." Then now I said, "Okay, they forced me." I told them, "I'm tired," but they forced me. So I ran there. I'm telling you, I saw they had used ashes to draw a proper tennis court, and they were about a team of 15 children. And I looked at it and I said, honestly, today I was not going to train, but what they have shown me, I honestly have to continue this session because there's motivation. And then from there, I definitely did the session, even though I was tired, because I saw the initiative that they had. They had gone, I don't know why they saw the tennis court, I don't know if it's on TV, because it's a game they are not playing. And then now, because they had at least the mind to do it, it revived my spirit, and I continued coaching them. But the one that really made me feel that this is the game, I was talking to a certain child. I don't know, I will not mention the name, I know he's old enough. So when we were walking towards Kibera, the child told me, "Coach, you know what, I stopped stealing." I said, "I honestly don't know why you stopped stealing." First he told me I used to steal my mom's money and go and play video games. But the reason why I stopped stealing is because you gave me something to do. I said, "Oh, but I thought it's just tennis." He said, "Yes, when I play tennis, I am busy." And one of the things also I discovered, he told me that he was actually in a gang group. And in those gang group, there are many things they used to do. So it was because of tennis that he moved away from the gang group. He might not have passed school, but he concentrated in his education. And today, I know he's about 23 years, and he's not stealing anymore. He's not playing tennis either, but he's now having a motorbike and running his business. So that is, by the time this child was telling me what she was saying, I was actually giving up. I was asking myself, why am I in this community? The burden was too much. So he's one of the kids that made me to this day continue with the tennis program in the community.
Wow, you've heard it clearly. You can see Veronica was close to giving up and didn't want to continue, but something really touched her heart and also revived the motivation and made her continue with the program, which had an impact to the children. So now, I really want to thank you so much for sharing your story, but also I also want you to add on something. I want to know, have you done or tried any way to make tennis as a sport be an inclusive sport with other people, or is it only for the deaf or the
No,
blind?
I've actually had, initially I I trained wheelchair tennis for the ladies, that we got an opportunity to go to Holland for World Cup for the first time. That is the first time I actually interacted with persons with disability. And after some time, I didn't feel that things worked as well as they should. And it must have been in 2017 or 2018. When I started the program, we had one boy called Camillus. Camillus had a deaf sister. So it was very difficult to communicate to this child when we are starting the program. So later years, I thought, why not? I go and learn. So now when I knew the deaf people, I asked myself if I can go and learn sign language so that I can reach out to this girl. So if I reach out to this girl, then I'm able to reach out to other deaf people. So in 2018, I started a deaf tennis program, which Njoki is involved. That's where actually I met her. And I was telling them, look, I don't have anything else to give you. I know you're as normal as me. The difference you can't hear, but you can play the sport that I'm playing. So I started, just like, for me it was like a joke to even go and learn the language. Of course I was not able to sign very well, but even with the knowledge that I had, I managed to put a group of about 20 youths that I used to teach tennis every single day at a Nairobi club. And from there, I somehow came to start learning how to mix with the deaf community. And to this day, we still have our deaf program going on. And my biggest desire was for us to let them know that there is no difference. They can do what I can do. And tennis was one of the unique sports that I really wanted to introduce it to them, and it's one of the things that I don't regret, and I really hope that I can have this program in different counties, give every deaf child an opportunity to learn this sport. And I'd really love to be given that door so that I can enter and serve the deaf community.
Wow. We are going to go for a short break and then we'll continue with more. Don't go away.